I just want to ask you a few questions. This is your supplement list right now, right?
Yeah, it's changing. So
changing?
I'm not sure that I'm because like I'm not sure that everything I'm taking. Or you mean you're talking about medication or about?
No, I'm not talking about medication. I'm talking
It
about
was yeah. No, my supplements. I'm kind of so some of them. What I
basically B vitamins, magnesium, D3.
Okay, B2. I ran out of the box and I didn't start more.
Okay, but anything drastically different than this?
Okay, let me see. I stopped vinpocetine for a while. It's kind of on and off.
Is there a reason you stopped?
You know, then I have dystonia. Sometimes I feel that maybe it's. I mean, it should improve blood circulation.
Yes.
But once I felt that maybe it gets me more rigid, but I'm not sure. But I've been taking it for a long time, and I think I liked it. So it's probably sometimes I just feel desperate and I stop in everything because I want to see where is my baseline and what may cause, what may contribute towards dystonia or not. So.
Okay, and then this is your current medication, right?
So yeah, there is one which is missing. I forgot to put it here. It's what's the name? It's Gacobria. It's actually time-release amantadine, which is used for basically to improve off time and to decrease dyskinesia.
Okay. Does it work for you?
Yes, I think it does. It's one.
Okay. So here's what I really want to establish with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to figure out if we can narrow down what variables, what factors can be impacting your on and off days. Okay? So your on days, you're pretty much no symptoms.
On my own...
Perfect on day.
You know, now actually there is no... because my medications period, I'm taking it quite often, like pretty much every 2 hours. And I would say it's my own part of the days. So it usually, I think it's good sleep, good diet, and I feel calm. I feel zen. Let's say I don't have anything happening, neither good or bad, because sometimes a lot of good kind of events also may cause dystonia. So basically, I need to be very calm and not be worried and not be excited.
Okay, but on a good day, you're still sensitive to.
No, on a good day, actually, then I'm taking medication. It just I have no reaction.
No reaction.
So I believe that then my brain is kind of
okay.
Low
so
state.
on an on day, meaning that on day being you respond to the medication.
Yes.
Your tone is good on the left side, yeah.
Yes.
No tone issues.
Yeah.
No rigidity, no stiffness, or just less.
I mean, I sometimes a lot of time actually I can get that there is no tone at all, that I don't feel left side. Only then I feel that it's time to take another medication. It's kind of start.
Okay.
I start feeling left side.
And how long how many hours does the on day last for you?
On day could be pretty much the full. Maybe in the end of the day, let's say around 9 or 10, I feel that it's kind of I am done with my own.
Okay. And when do you start the medication? What time?
I don't have exact time because it depends. Because I don't sleep very well, and it depends when I wake up during the night. So it could be 5 a.m. could be 7 a.m.
Okay. So you can take the medication, your levodopa, between 5 to 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then on a good day, an on day, it can go all the way up until 10 p.m. You're okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you said during the on day, you can be thrown off if you have emotional anxiety and stressors of those things.
Yes. Usually, so recently, because I'm in pretty stable diet now, and I noticed that the most which cause the dystonia, it's level of excitement or worry or anxiety.
Yeah. So anxiety, excitement, like releases epinephrine or norepinephrine. They can definitely make dystonia worse.
Yes.
So that can happen from emotional issues, but could also happen if your blood sugar levels drop. Have you noticed any connections between your blood sugar levels dropping and getting some of these
Yes,
dystonic symptoms?
it's quite obvious because I'm trying to actually. I've been on a gluten-free, dairy-free diet for few months already, and recently I I'm trying to cut sugar drastically, and my brain actually kind of struggle a lot, and it comes back just
Okay.
ask for sugar very violently.
So Lon, let me ask you a little, clarify what I'm trying to get to. So when I was reading your case review, it seemed like you were trying to go into ketosis, but you had a hard time with it, and your body is having a little bit of difficulty with complete sugar restriction, right?
So what actually before going to ketogenic diet, I started to stay on the same diet which I'm right now, kind of mostly greens and proteins and good fat, but I tried to cut sugar, like take out fruits, and it didn't work very well. So each time it looked like then the supply of fast sugar is depleted.
Yeah.
My mitochondria didn't kick on,
Yeah.
and it just I feel this kind of dystonia immediately, and as soon as I kind of ate the apple, it gets away, and I start functioning very well. So, and I struggle in this because I didn't want to have apple each time then, like every couple of hours.
Okay.
So I decided that I will go to keto diet, because if my body cannot live without glucose, so probably it will work on ketones. But turned out that I wasn't, and I was taking exogenous ketones, and still I couldn't get into the keto zone reliably. A couple of days I was able to get in the keto, and I just felt like I'm amazingly. The full day, these 2 days were just like I didn't have any symptoms, and I kind of forgot that I had Parkinson's. I was taking medication, but there is no any off. I just,
Okay.
but I couldn't sustain it.
Okay. So this is something we need to figure out too,
Yeah.
because this is going to be a big part of it. Okay. But the question I have though is, right now you're not in ketosis, right?
No,
But
now I am no, not.
But right now, if you do like go too long without eating,
That's the problem.
you feel a change in your tone.
Yeah. So I like to like a while ago I've been on intermittent fasting. I mean, basically I just didn't have breakfast, and I felt pretty well. Then I didn't have to eat very often, but sometimes it works, but at some point it stopped working, and it looks like if I don't eat anything, the medication doesn't kick in, dystonia starts, all.
If you don't eat anything.
If I don't, I have to, and I eat. I mean, I try not to get back to fruits, so I just start eating some salad with olive oil. But I mean, it's kind of bothering me because I feel like a dog.
Yeah. So the key thing is so the L-levodopa helps your brain basic ganglia, direct and indirect pathways, so you don't have the tone issues, right? But your neuromuscular junction is really sensitive to epinephrine, norepinephrine, right? So when a person's blood sugar levels drop, you have to release epinephrine, norepinephrine to get either glycogen or body fat to break down the ketones, right? And then it's aggravating you.
Yes.
But the problem is, not the problem, but if you can get into ketosis like you did for 2 days, that'll be the most therapeutic for you.
I understand, but I don't know how
I understand.
to do this transition.
We have to figure it out. And the other key thing is, how many times a day? Like now let's say it differently. You've made the clinical connection between when you don't eat, your symptoms get worse, right? If you go too long without eating.
Not always. For some reason okay. So let me phrase it differently. So then I am in kind of mind stable condition. So like no trips, no bad news, no good news, and I'm kind of relaxed. I manage to do intermittent fasting, so there is no any additional factors which kind of make my brain run crazy.
Okay.
So then I'm calm. I manage to do intermittent fasting, can kind of be better with food. But as soon as this kind of other variables, like which is kind of the most powerful in effect. So the most powerful thing is this kind of level of excitement or excitation for neurons.
Yeah.
So if it's intervene, then I need to get more food. I need to get some kind of sugar or to have extra.
Okay, so let's talk about a few things too, because you've really have been well read. I mean, look, you've invested a lot of time to look at lifestyle factors. It's pretty clear from your education and everything.
Yeah.
So with intermittent fasting, as you know, it's protective for the brain. So how many hours are you going?
I do I can do 16, 18 hours.
16-hour fasting, 8 hours of eating.
Yes.
You're doing that right now?
No, right now. Well, I do it on some days. So, for example, on some days I do it, but it's difficult. Like yesterday, we were we were flying and a lot of driving and.
But besides traveling days, are you pretty consistent?
Not every day. Again, it depends. For example, then I was waiting for this appointment, and I don't think I explicitly didn't think about this, but somehow my brain, probably on the back of my mind, some processing is happening. And like last week was not very good. It was difficult to keep big periods between the food.
Yeah.
So I think that.
See, the thing is,
I mean, I understand that stabilizing the sugar is the most important thing, but...
No, actually, yeah, it is important. The problem with your situation is if we encourage catecholamines to go up, you're going to have your dystonia. You're going to be more prone to a bad day.
Yes.
So it's like your dopamine and catecholamines have a relationship, right? So just like if you have an emotionally trigger, all of a sudden your dystonia and everything gets worse, right? Because your catecholamine surge is high. But it doesn't have to be emotions. So a big part of it is also your glucose stability. Because catecholamines will go up just like you have an emotional response if your blood sugar levels drop, right? So it's surprising to me you can do 16 hours, okay?
Yeah, but I can do it probably at the moment that my catecholamines are in a better level, then I don't have any worries.
But if you were in a 16-hour fasting window, okay, and you had stress,
I cannot do both. So it's either stress or 16
But
hours.
if you were in an 8-hour eating window, could you handle some stress?
There were some periods and I did. So it's so unstable. So like my condition, so unfortunately I think that I kind of wrote, it was some kind of treatment which shaked me out in a better condition, and I still cannot stabilize it.
So what's most important for all of us to figure out is to have consciousness of the mechanism.
Right.
It's not a personality thing, right? It's a mechanism. Mechanism of catecholamine levels versus dopamine. What's the shift of those two per day? And that could be one of the factors of having an on-day turn into an off-day, right?
Actually, one more thing I probably want to add. So I have my physician prescribed me continuous glucose meter, and I had some sensor few times. So I don't keep it all the time, but I do it from time to time. Then I feel I'm getting worse just to see what's going on. And actually, I don't think that I had that much variation based on the.
Yeah, I mean, if your catecholamine system is responding quick enough, your glucose meter will look fine.
Okay.
You're still having, because you drop and boom, it's back up right away. Because catecholamines respond within 30 seconds. It's not cortisol takes an hour to 2 come up.
So is it possible to train this pathway?
Well, this is the important is working together. One of the clinical goals I have is for you to have more on days and not as many off days, right? That would be a good goal. And the more on days you have, the more off days you have, and you have dystonia, you start to develop negative plasticity in the brain for dystonia.
That's exactly.
And then dystonia gets worse and worse and tighter and tighter and much worse. So every day you're getting a bad day and get dystonia, you're actually training your brain to remember that muscle tone.
Right.
So that's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So preventively for your pain and tone issues, you cannot have bad days. So we have to figure out, like going through this, like what is causing you to have bad days? What are the other variables, and are you addressing them? Are you conscious of them first? And then are you doing things throughout the day to strategize for that mechanism? Like, because I think, like you have awareness that you can have, your blood sugar impact your dystonia and your being turning on day to an off day. And you know intermittent fasting is important, ketogenic is important, but I don't think we have a consciousness that's being used daily with this yet. So this is what I want to get into.
I kind of try to have some awareness and to kind of implement some awareness with food.
Yeah.
But I think that my mind is something really difficult to control.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're not going to necessarily be able to do that. You're going to have some anxiety throughout the day, and I don't know how much of because the dopamine basal ganglia indirect pathway is going to shut down your limbic system.
That's exactly what happens.
Right. But that's an inefficient pathway for you. So your limbic dampening is going to keep driving, right? And just like you have your tone get worse, there's times you're not going to be able to gate your limbic thoughts. And that's going to flare you up. But the point is we want to make sure at least the things you can control, like your stability of glucose and not causing catecholamine surge, it can be addressed to the best performance.
Right.
I don't know if it is yet.
So let me ask you, this procedure in Switzerland, which I described in my dossier.
In Switzerland?
Yes,
Yeah.
that then do this basically, so they cut the connection between, I think, thalamus and
Like a cyberknife treatment. Yeah.
Right, so basically they just, they cut this possibility of inhibition, so which is in a way kind of radical, but so basically they say that
it's fairly new procedure. I've never actually worked with patients that had it, so
okay.
I don't have experience enough to comment on it.
You don't know if it's
how
drastic.
I have one other patient that's dealing with Parkinson's disease, and she went to the same place in Switzerland.
Oh, really?
And had a consult. And they said to her, don't come right now because you're still responding to dopamine. We want to delay it. I think similar to what they made.
Yes, basically they say that they take patients who don't respond or who have bad side effects.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have any clinical experience to tell you one way or the other. But let's go back to the main focus. Okay.
Right.
So one of the main focuses, there's several things that I want us to have as goals in a clinical treatment plan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our clinical goals, because we can't cure Parkinson's disease, it's uncurable, right?
Yes,
but the goal is to have you be as functional as possible and to delay the progression of it as much as possible, right? And that's what you can do with diet.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that's going to be directly related to how fast you progress and how functional you are is the good days versus bad days, off days versus on days. Okay?
I understand.
So we're going to use these off days and on days as our meter to understand if we're clinically making some diet and lifestyle applications that are effective for you. Okay? Now, a part of an on day turning into an off day, okay, is going to be when your catecholamines go off. And obviously we know emotional stress can do it. The problem with it is some of that's not going to be controllable because the same dopamine pathway that when you look at the basic, I don't know how much background you've read on this. I'm sure you've read quite a bit, but the basal ganglia has the D1 and D2 pathway, the dopamine pathways.
Right, I know this, but
hold on.
Not really.
There's a motor loop that controls your tone, and there's a limbic loop also that's separate.
Okay.
That controls you not having chronic anxiety and thoughts and your mind racing and all that stuff. Okay. When you lose one, you lose the other. Okay. So your levodopa is going to gate some of that to some time, but the less efficient you become with your dopamine pathways, and the less you stop, the less effective levodopa comes for you. Your limbic escape is going to keep getting worse, And if that's getting worse in combination with you forgetting to eat or your blood sugar dropping, maybe you're not ready for intermittent fasting, everything is going to amplify. You're going to have much more off days. Your dystonia is going to be much more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Now your dystonia is going to cause negative plasticity. You're going to start posturing that way all the time, right? And that's the other fear, is that if your dystonia continues to get more and more active all the time, then you're not going to go out of dystonic positions. You're not in dystonia position now. But if your brain starts to memorize your arm in a spastic position, it's going to stay that way. It just won't be as painful when you have an on day. So
yeah, usually if I have few days in a row, so it's more and more difficult to get back.
Right. So one of the goals of the off the on day. So back to diet. So the mystery is to figure out like what you can tolerate, what you can't tolerate, how to get you stable, and preferably if we can get you into ketosis. If we can get you into ketosis and you're efficiently in ketosis, like all the time, you're going to take that variable out dramatically.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, basically, from the forum, which I read, I understand that majority of people who got into ketosis, they said it's the best things that that help.
Yeah. Because what happens is when you get into ketosis, it's much more efficient than using glucose. And every time you use glucose to make ATP energy, you're also producing free radicals, superoxide.
Oh, okay.
So the more glucose you have to use, the more superoxide you produce. So it perpetuates a neurodegenerative disease. As soon as you go into ketones, your mitochondria is working at much more efficiency, right? Like 70-80% more efficiency. So you're not producing as much superoxide, and you have immediate fuel, and you're stable. And the ketones also have an anti-inflammatory effect on the brain.
Right.
So we got to figure out how to get you there. Okay.
Right.
So let's figure out what went wrong. Okay. Because maybe the first step we do is we figure out how to get you into ketosis, because it's going to make a big difference in your on and off days. Because if you don't, if you get into ketosis wrong, you're going to raise catecholamines.
Yeah,
and you're going to get worse.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were using exogenous ketones, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about your diet and when you try to get in ketosis in your diet now, and see if we can figure out something. Okay.
So I think that was unsuccessful from the beginning, because I so I already got into high level of stress, because I couldn't, the cutting sugar didn't work, and I was already kind of in a bad shape. And so my understanding of what happened, that my body got into this kind of extreme anxiety mode, and everything was shut down, all mitochondria, everything. So, and being in this condition, I decided to go into ketosis.
Okay.
And
Lana, let me back up. Let me have you tell me what your diet was before you try this. What were you eating for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks? So you're waking up at 5 to 7, right? Then
yes.
Then what?
Okay. So
before trying ketosis.
So before trying ketosis, so my diet was at the moment was gluten-free, dairy-free, and I also excluded whatever I supposed to be sensitive per.
The Cyrix test.
It's per Cyrix test.
Okay.
I ate quite a lot of fruit. Fruit, yes. So my sugar consumption was higher than, not high, but it was not low sugar diet.
Okay.
Despite it was good diet, but it was too much sugar.
Okay, so 5 to 7 p.m. What's the first thing you're eating before you tried ketosis?
I don't think that I had such a regular food consumption.
So you weren't eating regular foods?
I didn't time my food, so I ate as I feel I want to eat.
Okay.
I ate right, but I didn't have like time.
You didn't have like a consistent schedule?
No.
Okay.
Sometimes if I feel that I can sustain intermittent fasting, I did. Sometimes if I feel that I feel not as good, I was getting food. So, but it was always inconsistent in terms of time.
Okay. Yeah. We got to figure this out for you. This is a problem. Because also, if you're intermittent fasting and raising your catecholamines, you may be doing the wrong thing. Okay.
Yeah. So I believe that this could be the thing that I never had anything in the same persistent consistency.
So 5 to 7. Hey, you may eat, you may not eat.
Yep.
And then if you do eat, what's your first meal?
when I can get some, when I have time, then somebody can help me.
What would you have?
So you mean then or now?
Then, before you tried ketosis. I want to see why you failed with ketosis.
So I ate greens, I ate vegetables, sweet potato. The problem also with proteins, because levodopa proteins compete with levodopa. So unfortunately, I couldn't. I'm not sure that my meal was balanced in terms of amount of proteins. I try not to consume a lot so it could be like mostly carbs, but not like kind of fast carbs, but good carbs, but still carbs with fat, but no proteins. It could be in the morning and in the middle of the day, and then I ate protein in the evening.
Okay, so you basically, before you tried to go on a ketogenic diet, you didn't have any consistent eating.
I didn't have, but it was fine because I had enough fruits to get me sugar. But then, doing this kind of diet, which I just described you, I decided that I want to cut all fruits.
Right.
Then trouble started.
Okay, I see. So basically what happened is you're already inconsistent, no timeline of eating, and then you just try to cut off your fruit.
Right, and I think that I'm on a good diet. I thought that I was on a good diet.
So
now
you can't get to ketosis that way. So let me just explain. You don't have a body that can't figure out how to do ketosis. You can't. This is too much of a stress for anybody.
I see.
Because you're already hypoglycemic half the day because you're not eating. Okay. So when you cut off the fruit and then you were off.
Then I cut off the fruit, so it looks like I ate something, and then the fuel stopped, and I just froze in the middle of whenever I was. So there is no more fuel.
So you had freezing?
It was not like Parkinsonian freezing. It was freezing in terms that I'm all rigid, and like my mitochondria don't supply fuel to the muscles.
So just left just increased tone.
Yeah.
And dystonic pain?
It was not even dystonic pain. It was just the rigidity was so high that there is no cells muscles couldn't work.
And only on the left, right?
No, actually, at this moment, and sometimes when I run out of everything, it's hard to say, but I couldn't move because maybe my left part was so stiff that I just cannot walk.
Okay. All right. So let's explain what happened here, because you're very intelligent and you're a scientist yourself, and sometimes you just need to make the connections to how things work. You're basically surging out catecholamines all the day with this missing meals, not eating, and then finally eating when you get to it. Maybe because you're thinking intermittent fasting is good, so being in a low, not fasting state is good for your brain.
Yeah.
But not in the way you're doing it, because you're getting catecholamines that are surging way too high. You actually have to get fat adapted first, and then slowly get into intermittent fasting. You're just like jumping into it with the susceptibility you have. Okay, so this is a car accident of your metabolism.
I see.
Okay. How did you get into? You said you got into ketosis for 2 days. How did that happen? Did you just force yourself there?
It's hard to say why these 2 particular days, because there is no regularity in what I was eating and how much I was eating. For some reason, these couple of independent days, not one by one, but I don't know, maybe on these days the sleep was good or something else intervened. I couldn't remember, but I just kind of got into this good day, and then next day was bad again.
Okay. So there's a couple things.
I cannot reconstruct it.
You also have to remember too is you can also have hypoglycemia, low blood sugar. You can also develop hypoketonemia and not have enough ketones right there for you, so you fall apart. For you, every time your brain mitochondria at this point, because of your condition, has no glucose or not enough ketones, you're going to get rigidity. Right. And that'll be your clue that your mitochondria don't have fuel, right? Okay, so let's talk about let's talk about a strategy first. Let's talk about your diet first. You want to write in here? I have paper. What do you prefer?
Yeah, I can write here.
Okay, do you need paper or no?
No, thank you.
So let's hold off on intermittent fasting right now
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be too much for you right now.
Right.
But if you're not hungry, don't eat. But don't
But-
don't let your levels drop.
But this is a problem because I feel that I am eating not being hungry, so I have to eat because I just need to move. But I feel that it's kind of I force feed it all the time.
Let me ask you a question. Can you tolerate fats? Or do you have any problem eating fatty foods?
I think
I didn't see any symptoms of any problems.
no, I tolerate fat pretty well.
Okay. Because I looked at one of the forms we have you fill out. It looks for symptoms associated with gallbladder problems and people that can't digest fats. On the metabolic assessment form you filled out, and you were totally fine. You had zero symptoms.
Right. Yeah. In fact, sometimes that I'm eating apple in the mornings and I feel bad and it doesn't work, and I eating some ghee and it seems that I need ghee
You do.
fat. Yeah.
So let's start with when you wake up. 5 to 7. I don't care.
5 to
When
7,
right
right.
until your sleep gets more consistent. When you first wake up, I need you to eat some healthy, good quality fats.
Mm-hmm.
First thing. Okay.
And how much?
I don't know what the dosage is for you. Enough for you to feel satisfied that you're no longer hungry.
Right. But let's say approximately.
Let's give you some
tablespoon-
examples.
Yeah.
So, do you like avocados?
Avocado, unfortunately, got on the list of no list from Cyrex.
Okay.
I mean,
But
all
but-
good food got excluded from my diet.
I'm going to ignore it for now.
Okay.
We're going to ignore
And
it.
sometimes
Because you said you tested positive on the case review forms with everything you're eating, and you were suspecting the results.
Yeah, I suspected it because of my leaky gut. It's just a reaction on the undigested proteins got into the bloodstream and
Okay.
gave me.
So that's more of a loss of oral tolerance than it is like an allergy or something like that.
Yeah, and some of them I introduced back and
Because the
there's
thing
no
is,
reaction.
see what happens. Let me explain a couple of things. So this
Mhm.
is your Cyrex results, okay? And you have most of the healthy foods here are showing up.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the problem is, like, if we say, hey, don't eat avocados, eat
Mhm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have the same response show up on your panel. Because when your immune system loses what's called tolerance, you just react to whatever you eat.
Right.
So when you say to me, this test result, I'm not sure about, because everything that I eat is showing up, it's telling me
Mhm.
you've lost tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
If you change your diet 100% and avoided every single food here and ate new food, and we repeat the test, it's going to now show those new foods. So then what? Then
have
we go.
the same
Then we go back
suspicion.
to this
Mhm.
list or another list. Like it's never
Okay.
ending.
Right.
So I'm not. This is where I think there's also some clinical confusion with not just you, but even with clinicians.
Mhm.
They think, oh my God, it's off. They can't do it. But this is not a reflection of like an allergy. This is a reflection that your immune system is overreactive, right?
Yes.
But it's going to be positive with any new food you
Right.
add to, right?
So basically, people do food rotation in this case. What?
They try, but that's not going to make much of a.
So we just have.
We still want you to not have the same meal every day. So in a sense, we do
Okay, I
want a
see.
rotation. But let's say in the mornings, so we want some healthy fats.
Yes.
So let's just avoid worrying about this list right now because we're
Mhm.
assuming that you've just lost tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
And any new foods you eat, you're going to react to them anyways.
Mhm.
So what's the point of trying to do that?
Right.
So
Thank you for avocado.
avocados, like avocados with olive oil on top, would be a
Mhm.
great way to start the morning.
But it's not a full avocado. It's probably.
Do a full avocado.
Wow. Okay.
There's a lot of fiber in there.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be fine.
Okay. Nice.
So what's going to happen is are you worried about gaining weight?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because as long as your insulin levels go down, you're not going to...
Because I don't eat anything and I'm gaining weight, so that's why I'm.
Well, once you get into ketosis, you'll be fine.
Right.
It's the insulin plus the fat that will make you gain
Mhm.
weight. But if you just have fat, you have very little insulin release. So if you had a meal with just avocados and olive oil, you're
Mhm.
not going to surge insulin. If you had a little piece of toast to that, you're going to surge insulin like crazy, and then it's going to make you gain weight easily.
Yeah.
So we just want to get you in a ketosis state, okay? So avocados with olive oil would be like one example, but you
Mhm.
can't have that every day. So we need to get like
Yes.
three different
Okay.
healthy food practices, okay? What else do you like? Do you like sardines? Do you like fish?
Sardines I eat a lot, so I probably should start rotating.
And I know like people sometimes worry about mercury and heavy metals. We're not worried about that right now,
No.
okay? And sardines
Sardines,
are fine.
yeah.
So one morning you can have sardines.
Mm-hmm. So can I add some green.
Yes. So any vegetable, you can add any greens
Mm-hmm.
to the morning to the morning.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of amount, I get satisfied with very little, but I probably should. I feel that my calorie intake is lower than it should be, but I
Just right now, for now,
Mhm.
let your body's gonna have to adapt to this first.
Okay.
Just make sure you're not hungry.
Okay. Mm.
Okay. Part of it is if you're getting a hungry message right now, your body's gonna raise catecholamines.
Mm-hmm.
So just let that work. Okay, so you got sardines. What's another? Do you like anything else you like to eat that's high fat?
What about eggs?
Can you do?
Egg showed some reaction
yeah,
to white.
Yeah, let's
But
do
I
eggs.
eating eggs and sometimes.
How do you like your eggs?
I do them usually sunny side on the. I mean,
You fry 'em?
Yeah, but
Okay, let's just do that right now.
I can do poached.
No, just do however you want. Just have eggs however you want to prepare.
Okay.
We're not trying to do every single possible thing you could ever do for perfect health.
Mhm.
And right now we're just trying to get your fuel working
Mm-hmm.
with ways that are workable.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Later on, you can then go, hey, if I fry them, I get free radicals and oxidation and those things. Let's just get you to step level one,
Okay.
okay? I'm gonna be overly critical because you get overly critical, you won't have any choices,
That's
and
true.
then you can't get anything done.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it okay to mix avocado with boiled eggs?
However you want, but just the sources like mix your breakfasts around. One day you have avocados, one day you
Mhm.
have eggs and avocados. I don't know. One day you have fried eggs.
Life is coming back, I feel.
What other? Then sometimes dinner. If you have leftovers, you can eat for breakfast. If it's higher fat,
Mhm.
like do you have pork ever or red
N-
meat? Or
No, we don't eat pork, but beef, lamb,
lamb.
yeah.
So
But I think I cannot eat a lot of protein in the morning
Because of the medication?
levodopa, yeah.
okay, so let's stick with higher fat.
Yeah, maybe I can do a little bit, but probably.
Okay.
And
So
again,
some days you have
on
like-
good days I can have meat and no problems.
Okay.
I
So
always-
the dinners where you do have like a higher fat meat, like
Mhm.
fatty lamb or some fatty beef.
Mhm.
Make sure you make some extra. Have some extra for breakfast the next
For
morning.
Okay.
So we'll add in some like fatty lamb or beef.
Mhm.
So this is how you're gonna get into functioning.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now it's really important for you to. The only key thing here is you want to feel satisfied with how you eat, but you want to make sure that you don't eat so much that you get tired after you eat. That means you're getting an insulin surge.
Yes.
So eat enough, but don't eat enough where like you need to take a nap. It's too much
Mhm.
and you're tired after you eat.
Right.
Okay. Do you have tea or coffee?
I have coffee, then I'm not too anxious.
So coffee's going to raise your catecholamines.
Coffee does, right?
It's not going to work for you.
Sometimes coffee helps me, then I cannot, then I don't have dystonia, but I kind of from the opposite day, then I don't have enough tone. Then, but
you need to get
suggest-
off. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't do you can't do caffeine right now.
What about chocolate?
Chocolate's minor unless you're extremely sensitive, but coffee is
No,
very strong.
Chocolate,
Oh,
Alex is asking because chocolate is one thing which get me on and help me with dystonia, I think.
Okay, well let's talk about chocolate
We'll talk
later.
about chocolate.
Let's just talk
Right.
about
So,
your
but
beverage.
what about green tea? Is it again too much of
It's gonna be
caffeine?
too much.
Okay, so just
Just herbal tea.
Herbal tea.
Herbal tea.
Mhm.
I need to get you off caffeine
Okay.
because again, we're trying to balance your catecholamines, the
Mhm.
dopamine,
Mm-hmm.
and get you consistent. We don't want a roller coaster ride.
I see.
You're gonna have a tendency for a roller coaster ride. Like if you have a cup
Mhm.
of coffee and you you went too long with eating, and now you have a little limbic escape.
Right, right, yeah, I understand.
It's like now you got a bad day, and now you got
Yeah.
dystonia, and it's like it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's breakfast. Okay,
Okay.
so let's talk about what you're gonna do for. Let's talk about lunch and let's talk about snacks.
Oh gosh, I mean it's.
For snacks, can you do? I know you're testing for some of
So
these.
do I have to have it? Because actually for me more than two food meals it's already a lot. But if we have
You don't have to, but you should know what some snacks options are.
okay. So but basically the rule is if I'm not hungry I don't eat snacks. But if I'm hungry, I can eat snack, and from the which I can eat. But I am my question is, I'm not required to eat snacks if I'm not hungry.
Maybe. Because we have to do something.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this. Can you do MCT oil?
Yes, I used to have it, but again, because it was on my off list, I stopped. Oh no, this is coconut also. The same thing probably. Coconut
Okay.
was.
So between breakfast and lunch, I need you to take some MCT oil,
Mm-hmm.
like
1 tablespoon.
2 to 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
It's between breakfast and lunch, and
Mhm.
lunch and dinner. The reason I want you to use MCT oil
Mm-hmm.
is because I want to see if you actually get into ketosis.
I see. Mm-hmm.
And if you take exogenous ketones, it falsifies your test. Because if MCT is not ketones, MCT converts to ketones.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually see, are you getting into ketosis?
I see.
When you take exogenous ketones, you may not actually be in ketosis, but since you took some.
I was told that I should take it, but.
But right now, I got to see if you get a keto. We're going to have you
Right,
measure your
yeah.
ketones.
I like it. MCT oil totally.
So,
And I can. I'm sorry.
so once we get you stable
Mhm.
and you figure out what ketosis is, we're going to have you use ketones throughout the day so you don't get hypoketonemia.
Okay.
Okay, and also you want to do MCT oil between breakfast and lunch,
Mm-hmm.
lunch and dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do it at bedtime
Mm-hmm.
because
Okay.
this might be why you're not sleeping. You might not be getting enough fuel,
Maybe. Yeah.
so you can do like 2 to 3 tablespoons. Okay. If you use capsules, one capsule is usually 1,000 milligrams.
How about liquid?
Yeah, 2 to 3
Because I have
tablespoons.
liquid. Yeah. I have a couple of bottles and I stopped
So use them.
using them.
Okay. So the goal right now is we're going to give you sources of ketones all throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of if you're not hungry for snacking. If you do want a snack, you can do nuts, you can do egg, you can do carrots, celery.
Mhm.
You can do a low glycemic.
Okay.
Just not fruit. You just can't snack with sugar
Yes.
or fruit. Okay. And then lunch and dinner. What are your things you like to eat?
Recently, I'm eating just salads but I use like maybe 10 different variations of greens and something else. So it's
Okay.
not mono salad, but mostly salad and sardines. That's my and a little bit of beef.
Perfect. So
So-
keep that the same.
Okay.
Just try to rotate different
Mhm.
things into your salads.
Mhm.
It's not the same salad every day, right?
No, sometimes I make the salad and eat it a couple of days.
Okay.
But then I make another salad
Perfect.
and eat it for another few couple of days.
Lunch is good. What about dinner?
The same for dinner.
Perfect. For right now, that's all we're gonna do.
Oh, and also I'm eating sweet potato.
So you can't do that.
Oh, I cannot do it. Okay, so basically just greens and cabbage and broccoli.
We just stay off all fruit right now.
Okay.
Fish.
Fish is okay. Just stay off all fruit and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And eat like this. You shouldn't be hungry and you shouldn't crave sugar.
Yeah.
And sweet potato has too much sugar.
It's hard when you're first trying to transition to ketosis to do it. It's like on the border. And same with like berries and strawberries. You're so extremely sensitive.
Yeah. So
I don't want to play with these things on the border.
yeah,
I just want to go extreme.
Yeah.
And then once you get like into ketosis and everything's fine, you can kind of back off and see what works for you. Like, you remember the ketone high you had for 2 days? I want to get you there long
yeah,
term.
it was perfect.
And that becomes your normal instead of like a. You know,
Then I can introduce a little bit of berries. and
then so once you get into ketosis, then you can start seeing what your tolerance is, and then you
I
can.
see.
And then once you get into once you get into ketosis pretty consistently,
Mhm.
that's when you start to do time restricted feeding, without getting your catecholamines going crazy.
I see.
Because your body has to get used to using fat for fuel more efficiently. If you
Mhm.
try to go with the time restricted feeding, for most people it's no problem, but you're not most people. You have extreme catecholamine sensitivity because of your Parkinson
Yes.
pattern, and it's going to cause you to have your dystonia exaggerated.
Mhm.
So you can't do that. Okay.
What about grapefruits and nuts?
Nuts are no problem.
No grapefruit.
And grapefruit, no.
No. And I understand
Because you eat
right, yes.
But you know the ketogenic foods and
Right, yeah. So I understand. I assume that wine also in this category of. I'm just curious. It's because of sugar only, or you think that wine is not good
it's
for
the
other
sugar in
reasons?
wine.
Only sugar.
It's the sugar.
So at some
Alcohol isn't going to throw you off like ketosis. It's not going to make you efficient.
point, yeah.
I mean, you're Russian vodka.
Yeah.
That's the least. That's the least abusive to being in ketosis. Unless you add stuff to it. But wine is like you're gonna have to hold off.
No, it's good. I just
Okay.
wonder if it's
So wine is bad, right? But vodka
But
is
listen,
nice.
let's discuss the big picture. The big picture is you're going to have wine every now and then. You're going to take breaks from ketosis every now and then. You're going to
right. But right now it's
But right now we're trying to figure out what is your potential capacity to respond.
right.
What will your mitochondria give you? What will your cells give you?
Mhm.
So we're being really, really strict just to see if you can get there and then how you function. And how you function and get in there is not just therapeutic, but it's diagnostic. Like if you really can't get into it, we're in trouble. And if you can't figure out like how that works for you, that's another problem, right?
So how long is this trial period?
It could be the next couple months.
A couple months.
Yeah, hopefully you get there sooner. Like you're not going to get, for the average person, it's going to take them like a good week to start to get into ketosis. Some earliest will be like 3 days. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I've been on ketosis in the beginning of Parkinson, and I got there easily, and
Right.
now it's not.
Right. So now, so it takes you at least to even get into ketosis. Let's say 3 days to a week, and then you're gonna have to just get used to being in ketosis for another 3 weeks, right?
Right.
So that first month is just like you first understanding it. Now, do you have a ketone measurement?
Yes.
Which one are you using?
Do you remember?
Is it Keto Mojo?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
You have the strips?
We need to order some. They are going quite
'Cause they
pretty
expire.
fast. Yeah. Oh, they expire also.
Yeah, they expire.
Yeah.
So
then
you
I
might
go-
feel like, oh my god, I'm not in ketosis because you have expired strips.
Mhm.
How long is the expiration date?
They'll have a date on the
Yeah.
package. Okay.
Yeah,
So look at the
fine.
package date and see if they expired or not.
Mhm.
Okay, and get some updated strips.
So
and
would you? Oh, yeah. I mean, I was going to ask if I should do sugar as well, but probably I may put some. Or you think just forget about sugar?
just forget about it.
Right. Okay.
Even artificial sugars.
Yeah.
Like as far,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So only.
So just
What's a good actually rate to be not to?
so one of the things I'm gonna make a list of things I want to have you email me each week. So I want you to get a journal of your ketone measurements.
Mhm.
So if you can measure them, maybe the first week you have to measure them more than once a day, and then once you
Mhm.
kind of get stable, you can just do once a day, or
Okay.
because it's like $1 a strip. You can add up.
No, it's not just a
5
dollar.
measurements a day.
It's poking the finger.
Yeah, that's no fun either.
No fun. Yeah.
As long as the first goal is that you're getting levels above 0.
Mm-hmm.
Anything above 0 means you're making ketones.
Okay.
That's the first goal. So
Mhm.
get your measurements. If you go to the Keto Mojo website, it says you have to get into like 1.5 or 2.0.
Yes.
You don't.
Okay.
For a therapeutic effect for what we need, you just need to make some.
Okay.
They're looking at ketone levels for that weight loss market,
Bodybuilder.
not for neurodegenerative diseases. Okay? So listen, this is like one of our really, really important first steps.
Okay.
Because here's the thing: if you get into ketosis and your on and off days changes, that's a huge part. And if you can maintain that for the next year, then your rate of progression is going to go way down, right? And then your chronic dystonic posturing and pain, that's going to create it's going to be less.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So we'll have to see how this does. We'll have to see how ketone impacts you and your ketone measurements and get you there. Once you get into ketosis after, let's say, a good month or two, then you can really focus more on the time-restricted feeding more. Okay, right now, I just want to make sure you don't get into here's another key concern right now. You could get into hypoketonemia, meaning low ketone levels in your blood, because your body isn't efficient making it. And when you get into a low ketone state, you may feel your dystonic posturing come back, because your mitochondria are so vulnerable if they don't have fuel.
Yeah.
And then you might mistake that as a diet not working. Okay,
And yeah, I understand. It's usually in the beginning.
it's in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you feel like your ketone levels are low, or if you
Mhm.
measure them and they're low, immediately take some MCT.
You mean like 0.2, 0.3, something like this?
If it's not even, if you're like 0.1
Zero.
or
I see.
no or like
Okay.
0.
Uh-huh. I see. Take MCT over.
Be very. You also will feel it. You'll just feel low.
Yeah, I understand. So if I feel well, I mean, I
Don't need
do
it.
anything.
But because I'm only taking it like in between meals. Like if
Mhm.
you, because if let me give you an example. You have a limbic escape.
Mhm.
You start having your mind go crazy and you can't shut it off. Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna make your heart rate go up. You're gonna be all stressed out. It's gonna burn off all whatever ketones you had.
Yep. Yeah. I understand.
Now you're in a low ketone state.
Mhm.
Now your mitochondria are there to dampen your motor system. So now you're gonna get increased tone and dystonia. So as soon as like you feel something like that
Mhm.
happen, and your ketone levels are low, which you may think of as like low blood sugar, but low
Mhm.
blood ketones, take some MCT
MCT,
right away,
yeah.
because that'll quickly raise your ketones.
Yeah, so my understanding was health mitochondria, they are capable to digest your own fat, right?
Yeah.
But in my case, probably she needs some help.
So what'll happen is over time, as
It will-
your body gets used to using ketones for fuel and energy, it'll
It
become
will help.
efficient to burn your own body fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Can you help mitochondria with some supplementation to get better? Not just
Yeah,
with-
I have a whole protocol for your mitochondria.
Okay. Mhm.
But to start with, I'll show you. We have a big plan.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean to
No,
change
no.
the.
This is the plan. I'll show it to you. It's from a course I taught on energy and fatigue. Okay, let me make it bigger.
Well, so my life will be timed and documented from the
This is,
wake
how you,
up.
this is all the research on how to preserve mitochondria.
Mhm.
So we're here right now. We have all
So
this.
you should look what time you will make me salad.
So this is the first part, is like getting your blood sugar, getting your fuel source stable, right?
Mhm.
And then so diet, then sleep, then circadian rhythm, then physical activity, then nutraceuticals, and then chemical load.
I see.
So if I had Parkinson's disease or a family member, I had to go. These are the things I know that impact mitochondria. How do I address them, right? So that's what we're gonna do with you. The first part here is to get your fuel.
Mhm.
Getting your fuel stable could be making you sleep better. That's what we also want to see, because the
Okay.
next part of this is sleep. So
Mhm.
let's talk about that for a second. For sleep, you're having a hard time falling asleep, right?
Well, actually, I load myself with sleeping pills, so I'm getting asleep like right away.
Okay. Are you staying asleep?
No, but then I'm waking up a couple of times.
Okay.
But without sleeping pill, right now I'm just.
Okay. So right now you don't want to change anything,
Mm-hmm.
but the reason you may be waking up is because you're losing fuel to your brain.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
So we'll see. Like remember,
And sometimes I'm going to eat.
so one of the things I'm having you do is take MCT before bedtime,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we want to see if that helps you sleep through the night.
Yeah.
Okay, because there's clearly research that shows lack of healthy sleep is going to accelerate mitochondrial degeneration. That'll promote your neurodegeneration.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I know all this bad side effect of things was happening.
Yeah, but now we're gonna map it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So diet, we talked about sleep. We're gonna see if you can sleep through the night.
Right.
Right. We're not. Don't change anything with anything else with that. Like
Just
Yeah.
observe. Yeah.
And then the other thing we have to really make sure we have to strengthen for you is getting you in a normal circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
That has a huge impact on mitochondria. Paper
Right.
after paper after paper
Yes, but
is
how
published on
do we
this.
do it?
You're going to have to just have a scheduled breakfast, lunch, and dinner to start
Okay.
with, whether you're hungry or not.
Okay.
So the sleep issue is going to be like you're obviously sedating yourself, so
Yeah.
you're having the same bedtime.
Right.
Okay, so we can keep that consistent.
Mm-hmm.
The next part is you waking up. That's unpredictable right now
Yes.
because you're waking up at different times. So we can't do
Mhm.
much with that. Hoping that if you start getting fuel, like ketones, by taking an MCT before bedtime and getting into ketosis, that you'll sleep through the night.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully you'll start waking up at 7 instead of 5, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but if we can't control that right now, that's fine. But we can't control your first meal.
Right.
So your first meal, let's say, is at, what's a good time for you? 7, 8?
Say 9.
9?
Is it okay, or I should do?
If you're waking up between 5 and 7, that's too long.
Right, but if I'm waking up around 8, yeah, then 9 is okay, of course.
You're waking up around 8.
So usually if I wake up around 5, I don't wake up. I mean, sometimes I'm going to eat something, sometimes I don't eat something, but just try to go back to bed. I'm not getting up, let's put it this way.
Okay. So we have to have a meal at 9.
At 9.
If you want to have a snack before 9,
MCT oil
or nuts or an egg, or that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we need your lunch, breakfast, and dinner to be the same time.
Okay.
So that you can't control.
Right.
So we can control your sleep
Mm-hmm.
at the same time and your meals.
So what would be the good time to go to sleep?
When are you going to sleep now?
So recently I am more fatigued, so I'm going to sleep around between 10 and 11.
Okay, just stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next part of this for mitochondrial support
Mm-hmm.
is physical activity.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing for physical activity?
Well, before COVID, actually, I used to do a lot of different variety. I went to the gym and I did boxing and some different exercise and I mean, a lot of kind of group exercise. So now we working on a regular day, every day pretty much about maybe hour and a half, fast walking.
So you do fast walking hour and a half a day?
Hour and a half, yes.
Wow.
And
No, but it depends on the day.
no, some days,
day
no,
by day.
maybe not 7 days, but for 5 days we do.
No, it depends whether she can do it. Depends on your.
She has a good or
condition.
bad day, yeah.
If it's a
Ideally,
bad
it's a
And,
good...
and also, then I'm good, I'm trying to jog about an hour. But I wasn't able to do it last couple of weeks because it was kind of anticipation.
Okay, that's fantastic. Can you do that at the same time every day? Or no?
We do it in this is the timed activity because I'm not the one who participate in this.
What time are you doing that?
We're doing it not in the morning. It's like
After 4 p.m.
After 4 p.m. From 4 to 4:30.
Between 4 or 4:30 during your physical exercise?
Yeah,
Walking.
between 4 and 4:30 we start the walk.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So the key thing for a while
And
is,
jogging, I'm doing in the morning.
the key thing for a while is to not make that window too long, because you're trying to reestablish a circadian rhythm.
You mean, the window of
Don't do it one day. Don't do it one day at 4 or one day at
Right.
6:30.
So, got it, yeah.
Like just go between 4 to 5. We gotta go.
Yeah, it's normally what happens.
Right. So we do it later on, then it's sunny, but it will be like not till the summer, because then it's hot. We do it later on the day,
Okay.
but it will
Okay.
change. Yeah, not now.
Okay. 4 to 5. With nutraceuticals,
Mm-hmm.
you're not taking anything that's like really impactful. Let me go.
You know, I started taking NAD recently,
Yeah.
last week.
Like if you look at what's published on preserving mitochondria and helping mitochondria, and you look at your list, you're going, you're not even trying.
I just kind of switched into mitochondria mode just recently, so started with NAD.
Okay.
Let's change it. I agree.
Now you do have some good things like liposomal glutathione, vitamin C. Those are really protective, right?
I used to have, by the way, liposomal glutathione from Apex, right?
Yeah, you like that one?
And it worked fantastic, but then I ran out of this bottle and I don't have it anymore. And I bought recently, what's the name? Gosh, I forgot.
Well, that's my favorite one. I love that one.
Yeah.
I
So
think it
if I
works
can
great.
if I can
It's the
buy
highest
it,
quality, yeah.
right? So it's a good one. I just feel immediately you take a spoon and you feel the
Yeah.
difference. It's
Immediate,
like-
right?
Yeah.
It's-
Absolutely.
it's-
It was amazing how fast.
I know. I noticed
Oh,
the
the
same.
second one was silver something.
Yeah.
And it's
So I take
not as
I
good.
take the trisomal glutathione too. I have the same experience every time. Like I take it every morning. I go
Yeah,
immediate. I'm like, this is crazy.
almost like vodka. Almost as good as like second after vodka.
Okay, so the main things that have really shown. So there's one part of it is there's things that have been shown to help with dampening mitochondrial injury and also turning on messengers to make mitochondria. So there's a pathway called NRF2 and PGC alpha 1, and different flavonoids have been shown to turn those genes on, but they also are antioxidants. And the main ones are resveratrol and turmeric. So
I'm taking turmeric. I mean, yeah.
okay, so
But again, there are different formulations, and I'm not sure which one is.
so in the same level of quality of absorption is the resveratrol active from Apex and turmeric
Yeah, I
active.
mean, whatever you suggest,
Okay.
I'll be taking.
So I think if you take trisomal glutathione, resveratrol active, turmeric active in the morning, that'll give you a rich source of flavonoids
Okay.
that also protect the mitochondria
Mhm.
and also help turn on messengers for mitochondria. Okay, so those are, and actually, to be honest, I take those 3 every morning myself, preventively, and they're good. Okay, the so that's like minimum. Okay.
Yeah, and I would delete everything which is not needed because I don't want to.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have to take the liposomal glutathione anymore. Okay.
Right.
Berberine, I wouldn't take right now
Okay.
because berberine will drop your blood sugar very quickly.
Yeah, I was doing it and I was kind of.
Yeah, berberine will drop your blood sugar
Got
very
it.
quickly.
I
Okay.
will take it out.
Vinpocetine is very effective. It gets blood flow to the brain, but if you're in a, like you noticed when you were in a spastic posture, you may have felt worse. That may be accurate
Okay.
because you're getting blood flow to a hyperkinetic neuromuscular junction.
Okay.
You may make it. Let's hold off on that.
Mhm.
So I'll send you a summary report
Right.
with a plan.
So basically, I just rely on whatever supplements you.
Some of these I'll
prescribe.
keep on, like alpha lipoic
Sure.
acid's a good idea.
Mhm.
Like vitamin C is a good idea, right?
And I want you.
Vitamin D is a good idea, right? And then when I went through your lab work, you didn't have like anything really screaming on your lab work that was really abnormal.
Okay.
Your vitamin D level like went down once and then you got it back up.
Mhm.
Your C-reactive protein was down once and went back up. But I would like to. The last blood test you had was almost a year ago.
Right.
Let me get an updated blood test with you.
Sure.
That may change our protocol. The blood test.
So should I do it at the kind of as a start?
Hmm?
Should I do it before I go on this day?
No. I'll give you some things to start with because despite what the blood test shows, you should be on mitochondrial protective
I see.
antioxidants
Okay.
and things that turn on mitochondrial biogenesis.
Right.
You're already taking prometrium, estradiol. Those have been shown to protect and restore mitochondrial function. So that's fine.
So I should continue, right? Because my physician kind of tried to get me off the hormonal, but I feel that it's important for, as you said, for neuroprotection.
So the studies show that these hormones have a protective effect on the mitochondria. You know?
Though usually also only afraid of some kind of possibility of cancer, but if I mean I don't think that I am in danger right now.
You can check. I mean, the biggest risk for estrogen is estrogen-sensitive breast cancers and clotting issues, and then progesterone itself doesn't seem to have
Okay.
major risk for most things or many things at all. So.
Okay.
It's a personal call. Like you have to do. It's a risk benefit for yourself.
No,
There isn't
I
like a test you do that goes.
Yeah,
you're,
right.
You know.
Yeah, no, but I feel it's okay. But because, like sometimes we need to equilibrate your physician.
So this you have to work with your physician
Good.
on who's prescribed these for you
Okay.
to help you with your hormones. But
Mhm.
if you're deciding to be on hormones because it's the right, if you feel it's the right thing for you,
Yeah.
they research clearly shows they help mitochondrial function, especially. You're 61 as you get older,
Right.
so they can
Mhm.
preserve some function for you. Okay. Now listen, this whole the other thing you should know is it seems like you're really concerned about the autoantibodies and stuff, like that's going to happen from Parkinson's itself.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
When you actually have alpha-synuclein, because you know what happens in Parkinson's disease, the alpha-synuclein levels clump together.
Right, but it's not. I mean, I think it always doesn't happen always. Let's put it this way, because there are so many different varieties, and some are more prone to alpha-synuclein, some are not as much.
There's still protein aggregation.
But it still happens, I agree.
So when the protein aggregation happens, some of that is going to have synapsin in it, and then your body's going to make antibodies to it. So neural antibodies don't always mean autoimmune disease.
It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Because the side actually rays, they're very scary when you see results.
I know. It's actually, it's autoimmune, it's your brain. It's really worrisome. But you have to understand the pathophysiology of neurodegenerative diseases is actually, once you start getting protein aggregates, your immune system starts to attack those protein aggregates.
Right.
I actually published a paper on Parkinson's disease where we looked at alpha-synuclein antibodies.
Yeah, I
can send it to you. But we measured alpha-synucleinopathy antibodies with patients, and then we checked how many of them had reactions to plastics and BPA. And it was like almost like a
correlation.
Yeah, correlation of like 0.9
Wow.
square meter, so it's pretty high. So I wouldn't be too like overly concerned with that. That's an expected lab finding with anyone that starts to develop a neurodegenerative disease. Okay. But you do have loss of oral tolerance, you do have intestinal barrier function, all that. And to be quite honest with you, it's not your first step. Your first step is to get fuel to your mitochondria, and as a matter of fact, as you get your fuel supply stable, you will start to have impacts on your gut microbiome and your gut health. That will be a place to go. So I don't want to do a lot of aggressive interventions here. You're taking the short chain fatty acid, the butyrate.
Right, but again, it's not Apex, so
It's okay. Do you like the one you're taking?
Actually, I feel that all supplements which I had from Apex really superior than
I think so.
many others. So I would probably, I mean,
Okay, I can recommend
whatever,
one for you.
yeah, everything we should prescribe if you have resources.
What I'll do is I'll just clearly like tell you what's on the list and what's not on the list.
Right.
The one I like with Apex better is because it also has propionate and acetate, which are all 3 short chain fatty acids.
Right, yeah. Actually, I used to buy also combination of all 3,
Yeah.
but they don't sell it anymore.
So the Enterovite will help with that. Okay. I mean the short chain fatty acids will help you with your oral tolerance, your immune tolerance.
Right.
And then I'm gonna just maybe give you some general support for your intestinal barrier and your detoxification biotransformation pathways. And those will be like in powder. So in the morning, you're basically going to take the liquid flavonoids and glutathione, like resveratrol glutathione, and then you're going to take a powder of something called Repairvite and something called Clearvite, mix them together, and drink it with water. Okay. That'll give you a ton of nutrients, antioxidants. Like you won't need to take your B's and magnesium and all the stuff.
That's great.
Because they're already in there at high quantities.
And they kind of they all have capsules and all this kind of extra stuff.
So powder, it'll be a powder form. The only thing you'll take that's capsule will be the short chain fatty acids. You don't want to take that in a powder because you'll throw up. It's disgusting.
Right, exactly.
You want those in a capsule form. Okay, so I'll give you a list. It's going to address the what we call oral tolerance, which is where some of these food sensitivity is coming in. But most importantly, is to get that get you in a steady circadian rhythm, ketone state, which will help you with your gut barrier and your microbiome as well.
Could I ask you one question? Before I used to eat like gluten and dairy and everything was fine. As soon as I get all this limited food diet, I start feeling worse than when I was on gluten and other stuff.
What do you mean by worse? What were you saying?
I didn't feel any symptoms. I know you're saying that a lot of people feel gluten not kind of as a digestive problem, but like neurological, etc. Maybe it was my case. But I just feel quite fine and better functioning than I ate pretty much all food.
Okay.
And then I excluded everything. It start feeling worse.
I think that might not be the only variable.
Okay, maybe could be.
Maybe
could
you're
be
missing
timing.
meals or other things too. I mean, you're too vulnerable right now to do the two most inflammatory proteins.
Yeah, no, I agree. So they are not good for most of the people.
There's a study we also published in Nutrients a few years ago. We took blood samples of 400 healthy blood donors.
Mm-hmm.
We checked them for all the different milk protein antibodies, like milk butyrofurin, alpha casein,
Mhm,
beta
mhm.
casein, and then we checked all the gluten proteins, gamma gliadin, alpha gliadin,
Mhm.
glutamorphin, all that. And we found a certain population of them had these antibodies, right? It was like 17 to 20%, depending on the antibody of the healthy population.
Right.
Had. Then we checked how many of them had neurological autoantibodies,
Oh.
and it was a big huge difference between the normal population didn't have the antibodies between those that had
Mhm.
the antibodies, and then we did like a correlation chart and analysis and everything, and off the chart associations between brain inflammation
And
and dairy and wheat compared to those that didn't react against them. And it's clearly other researchers with different mechanisms have found different pathways involved with it. So if you were already used to it, just stay off it.
Yeah, but I'm not eating. But I was surprised that I didn't have any dairy food wasn't found by. I mean, there is no
Well, if
antibody.
you- well, if you have- if
It
you
was
have
at the
been-
time that I was eating it.
It was the time you're eating it?
Yeah.
You may not be
I
may not be sensitive to it.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree to get rid of this.
But we're
I'm just
we're a little nervous,
surprised
too
if I-
nervous right now.
Right, yeah, I know. Yeah, no more variables.
Yeah, less
and
than
changes.
Okay, so that's a dietary report. So we covered the diet, we covered sleep. Sleep, we're gonna have you make no change to what you're doing with your sleep medication right now, and then see if you can sleep through the night as you get into better ketosis. You're gonna measure your ketones. You're gonna make sure your meals are the same time of the day.
Yeah,
Your exercise
right.
same time of the day. That'll help you with your circadian rhythm. You're already doing exercise. Your exercise is high intensity though, right? You go for bursts when you walk.
No, walking. I mean,
Is it in a group or is it just
we 2 or 3
Together.
people.
2 or 3 people? Can you do some bursts?
I can. I mean, if I'm in good shape, if I'm not, sometimes I hiking in dystonia, so I just do my best, but it's not as
Okay.
high intense. But
If you can just do a burst for like 20 steps.
I usually just jog through the walking if I'm.
Okay.
Could I do like short
burst.
short runs?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'll help.
it will be
'Cause
burst, I guess.
This high burst activity is really what hits the basic ganglia dopamine
Right.
pathways.
Do you think it's better than kind of prolonged high activity?
Yeah.
To this interval.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you do the intervals, it'd be fantastic. Okay. So nutraceuticals, we're gonna work on the oral tolerance and mitochondrial pathway,
Mm-hmm.
and then chemical load. You didn't show any chemical antibodies. You did the Cyrex Array 11,
Right. Interesting.
which is fantastic. Now,
With all my chemistry background, it was fun.
we can test you to pesticides and glyphosates and
This
plastics.
This
and see
actually
if-
I would be curious because
Okay.
yeah.
there's a lab that does it. They do it through urine sample.
Mm-hmm.
So what you'd measured before was antibody to see if you're having immune reactions to chemicals,
Mhm.
but that's different than what your actual load is.
I see.
So I'll organize a panel for you.
You think that they are just stuck in the fatty cells?
Oh, it's possible, but all we can measure is like what you're excreting.
I see. Okay.
The ones that are in your fatty cells you can't measure unless you break down body fat or lots of menopausal women will have we store lead in our bones, all of us as humans.
Mm-hmm.
But with menopause, if they start to have osteoporosis trigger from like a hormonal shift, like the estrogen levels dropping, they'll have really high lead levels in their blood. The lead was always in their bone, but it never got into circulation.
Mhm.
But it's only dangerous when it gets into circulation because now that lead that was stored in bone can go into the liver and can go into other tissues of the body, right? So you can't really, you can only, you have to know the limitation of what you're measuring. But at least we can see if you have high levels of a certain pesticide or chemical and see if those
And these measured as metabolite?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I actually measure the pesticide and some of the
And
metabolites.
something.
Um,
Yeah, this could because I used to not wash my greens
Yeah.
and vegetables.
so
for a
I
long
like
time.
to. So we can do a panel. It's through Great Plains Laboratory. Have you heard of them?
No.
They're good. I'll show you what it looks like.
Oh, actually, when you show, I recognize the.
So, here we go, sample report. So, they'll test, like you see the toxic, here's like a list. We'll go through all the different organophosphates and different chemicals. Many of these have been linked to Parkinson's disease and other neurodegenerative diseases. So it's a pretty detailed report.
Okay.
I can check on I'll have Susan confirm all the prices of lab testing and get your approval for everything. I'll send you an email too.
Thank you.
We there's no profit. We don't charge anything. We just pay whatever the lab fees. We don't profit from that. So I'll actually use a service called Rupa Labs. Have you ever used them before?
I haven't used them, but I listened to his podcasts. They're pretty good, and I heard you once.
Okay, so Rupa is a lab.
But I understood
company.
that it's only for the
It's a
for medical professionals.
Yeah, I'm gonna order it for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll order it for you, and you'll get an email from them, and you'll pay them directly, and they'll coordinate with you with the samples and the draws, and get it all sent out. So we'll do the urinary ones, and we'll do a urine test and updated blood test. So blood test will be just to see what your overall health is, if anything's missing. I want to get an update on your D levels since they've been fluctuating, your CRP, homocysteine, iron levels, your thyroid, as a general screen, and then we'll do the organic pollutant urinary markers.
Okay.
And coordinate both of them. So you'll get a test kit for.
You mean organic pollutant?
Yeah.
You mean whatever is in organic food, or organic means the composition?
They're like the way it's classified is either persistent organic pollutants or non-persistent organic pollutants. That's the terms that's used, and the difference is can you clear it from your body or not. So non-organic persistent organic pollutants would be like lead and mercury.
It's just chemical.
We're not measuring those. We're measuring the pesticides you get exposed to, but you can clear. Okay. So we'll do a urine test and a blood test. The blood test will have a phlebotomist organize. Well, you guys, I'll do the blood test with LabCorp.
Yeah.
So I'll email you a requisition form for LabCorp.
Yeah, come there.
And then just go to you have a LabCorp you use?
Yeah, I use a few times.
Okay. So you can go to the same one, and you won't need an appointment. You'll just go in. So you do the blood test for that, and then do the urine collection, and then that'll be the labs. And then that'll help us answer the last part, which is the chemical side of things. So looking at it from a mitochondrial perspective, trying to optimize these things, we have diet, sleep, circadian rhythm, physical activity, nutraceuticals, and reducing your chemical load. So we want to see what your chemical load is. Okay? Now, I still need to figure out some more things while I have you before we go into the exam. Okay. So your off days may not just be catecholamines related to food. Your off days could also be due to stimuli, like neurological stimulus. Okay? So that can also fatigue your energy levels and your mitochondria. So let me go into this area. So this is the form you filled out, the brain region localization form. Okay.
They sometimes could be also objective based on what day you feel them.
That's okay.
Is there a restroom?
Yeah.
Outside?
Outside. Yeah. Go left, and then on the right.
Thank you.
Sure.
I will find it.
Do you see? So when I was looking at your form that you filled out, there's obviously clear symptoms that are just the rigidity and tightness. Let me make it bigger for you.
Now I see.
Okay. These are obvious. These are just due to your dystonia.
Right.
Okay. And then the rest of it was pretty good. But if I get to this section here, spinal cerebellum, you have a bunch of symptoms. You see? Difficulty with balance, or balance that is worse on one side, need to hold on to a handrail with each step carefully, recent clumsiness in hands.
It all happened after this intervention.
With the eye movements?
With the functional doctor.
The functionology practitioner?
Yeah.
Okay.
After this, I start feeling these cerebellum things.
Okay. Now, you should know alpha-synucleinopathies, typically. Alpha-synucleinopathies start in the gut, olfactory bulb. With you, may have not been the gut because since you don't have any symptoms. But the very common to also build up in the cerebellum. So you may have like taxed the system with too much stimulation that was not ready to be taxed, but it's unlikely that it caused it, right?
Yeah.
It may have exacerbated and brought it out for you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is something that can cause you to have a bad day, because if you have something that exceeds your neuron mitochondrial endurance, you're gonna have a bad day, just like you can't handle emotional stress or something like that.
That's what's happened. And again, it was all. Yeah, I don't want to refer to the same source, but it was all kind of initiated during this unfortunate treatment.
Yeah. Well, the intention
it was too much stimulation, and
it was too much for your.
And I think my brain is very good in making negative patterns.
Yeah.
And as soon as it happens a few times, it just memorizes it right away.
Yeah. It's difficult when anyone's doing rehabilitation what your fatigue and energy levels are, and in any case, this is what I want to talk to you about. So another thing that, again, looking at like what can we do to reduce your progression and have you have higher function, right, and not as many bad days. Besides fuel, the other thing is things that can stimulate your brain too much. So when you see these symptoms here, like you have here highlighted on the brain region localization form, like to the cerebellum, this tells me if you're doing things that really put demands on motion, movement, it can cause you to fatigue your brain quickly.
I can tell you sometimes when I'm watching if I have to concentrate, let's say if I'm watching some thriller,
yes,
I just realize that I cannot move after the...
Exactly. So I'm talking about. So usually with thrillers, the key feature is they have quick screen changes. And all of a sudden you're in a new environment,
right.
and then different point of view. And your brain, your cerebellum is in charge with determining where you are in relation to the world. Because the cerebellum is where your vestibular inputs come in,
I see.
From where your head position is, and visual inputs come in, and where your feet have proprioceptive input, and it kind of calibrates all that together, and then sends a message to your brain.
Right.
So people that usually have some degree of like cerebellar injury, cerebellar degeneration, cerebellar impairment, whatever you want to call it, they can fatigue very quickly when those stresses are put against them.
Can it be rehabilitated?
As your brain gets healthier, you may be able to do that. And I'm going to do a very thorough neurological exam to see what we can do for your system altogether. May give you some cerebellar exercises. Like a lot of the eye movements you were doing, by the way, were cerebellum eye exercise. Like when you do eye movements quickly, and rapid eye movements,
I see.
Every time you stop a movement, that stopping is all cerebellum. And it helped you and then it fatigued you. So we may do some therapy to help you with it, but the point is this. I'm just trying to get you to have your on day and not have it being turned into an off day.
I see.
So the key thing is you to have the consciousness of what that is. So we spent a lot of time talking about fuel and making sure your blood sugar doesn't drop and all those things, right? The emotional side of it, there's only so much you can do, and some of that's just going to be part of the condition itself because of that limbic loop. But this you may be able to control. So you have to be aware that based on your symptoms, and based on you telling me, like, if you watch a thriller, which is going to raise your catecholamines like crazy, and also have like cream changes, that could be an issue.
It looks like this.
But
so I should then avoid this kind of shows?
Well, yeah, for sure. So thriller could be two things. Thriller could be that your catecholamine levels are going up, like you're having a cup of coffee.
That's what I thought, but now you're telling me that there is a difference.
There's more than one. So let's talk about both. So you have to now realize and make this connection, because I don't think you're making it. Even though you know it, you're not connecting, and it's not changing your lifestyle. You're not connecting that catecholamine drives or making you have bad days.
It's like meditation. We know this about awareness, but we don't do the awareness.
Yeah, right, exactly. So that's what my job is, to help you understand. So caffeine, like coffee and thrillers, are going to raise your catecholamines, and that's going to dampen what your dopamine effect is that day. And it may not even show up that day. It may be the next day that you're worse, right? So outside of thrillers and screen changes, if you watch something that's moving very quickly, like on a TV screen, like a car chase or roller coaster, does that bother you? Does it?
Well, roller coaster I never liked because I was afraid of this.
Okay.
Car chase. No, actually, I think everything which I understood differently. I thought it's like then I have to concentrate, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's not the concentration itself, but just fast. I will
So pay attention.
pay attention. Yeah.
And then what about crowded environments? Are you okay with that?
I start liking more secluded places in general.
So you get more anxiety. You get anxiety in a crowded place?
No, I don't have anxiety, but I don't have as much rest as not as much relaxation. It's not anxiety level, but more relaxation and seclusion.
So it could take like, honestly, it could take a cup of coffee, your mind going a little bit crazy, crowded place, a thriller, and you have a bad day, and then you're like, I don't know why my drugs aren't working.
It's really good to know.
Because the little things then
Yeah.
slowly add up. They have a cumulative effect.
It's also like part of being old, right? Because it happens with people then.
Yeah.
There's religion.
So I'm curious. So this kind of, let's say, stress for your brain,
Yeah.
in combination with trying to do keto, is they completely independent?
The combination doing what? Oh, the medication?
Keto diet.
Okay, so let's say she was put in an environment where she's going through this really stressful exercise for her brain,
Yeah.
like let's say thriller or coffee or whatever,
Yeah.
and at the same time trying to push you to keto diet. Like this combination of two events, could they be harmful, or it's unlikely that?
I don't think it's harmful.
No, I think Alex is kind of trying to.
So
You mean
basically,
keto diet? Kettle?
no. Let me explain why I asked my
Yeah,
question.
please.
So basically, when she went through this meeting with some doctor,
Yeah.
For the whole week,
Oh, for the neurorehabilitation.
yeah,
The eye exercise.
now I realize that when you explain about this quick change of
Yeah.
visual information,
Yeah.
It was intense
and
eye
this was
exercise.
he was doing, right? He was doing
Yeah.
series of very intense
Yeah.
exercises for her eyes, right? When her eyes
Yeah.
were like jumping all over the place, and at the same time she was pushing her in
Yeah.
keto diet, and
Which was unsuccessful.
and actually before that she definitely had really serious problem, but mostly it was dystonia when she was going through curve when dopamine was going up or dopamine was going down, right?
Yeah,
When
yeah.
it was flat, then she was okay. But after this 1 week, she was so out of stable condition.
Yeah.
It was amazing that you would think that, oh, ice exercise, what a big deal, right? But
Right.
based on what you just said,
Yeah.
It could be exhausting.
looked like it may be really like shock
Yeah.
environment for the brain.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. You definitely fatigue.
And at the same time, on top of this, you try to change your biochemistry in your
And it's so
digestion
unstable,
system,
yes.
and I wonder if it's really a dangerous combination.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, I see the combination of like not having
Like you,
the
you
right
put
fuel,
stress in your brain,
and then
like
that's for sure why you crash.
because after that 1 week,
I was
she
twice
was.
in
It's like you
emergency
feel
room.
like your system completely
Yeah.
out of being synchronized,
Yeah.
like completely out of control.
Disrupted. Yeah.
It's like she was right now it's much more stable conditions, and so I was kind of wait second, this guy probably doesn't know what he's doing.
Sasha.
Yeah, but
Well, I would give you a couple points of view. So one point of view is the intentions are all good.
oh yeah, I'm not
Okay,
pushing
no,
intensity.
but number two, even the best people that do brain rehab, they don't always know person's endurance capacity. That even to the best and highest level, highest consciousness of paying attention, that sometimes it just gets missed because everyone's uniquely different.
Yeah.
So
You probably want to try and see feedback. and
but it tells us now that we know is that it's extremely vulnerable, it's extremely sensitive, and
Your approach is very conservative and kind of not
I tend
very
to be a little
fast,
more
like starting
conservative.
with-
Yeah, especially with your history.
Yeah.
But I've done that to people too. I've miscalculated their endurance and their level. It's happened less and less as I've gotten older, but it happens, and it might happen to you. So your ability to know about that now and be conscious of
Right.
it, it's less likely it'll happen again because now you know.
Yeah, so you should get it one time. So that's why I didn't want to mention it, but then I thought that I have to describe this experience
Yeah.
for you to understand the capacity.
But this may be interesting hint for you what may cause your current
Yeah,
condition.
exactly.
This is why I think
Well, yeah,
it's not
this is-
about blaming someone. It's about
no.
okay, this what happened,
Yeah.
and maybe it give you hints how to recover and
Yeah.
make the progress.
I think everything is. I think we're on track with all
Yeah.
that so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, but it was kind of interesting to know what's exactly in the thrillers.
Yeah. So that's one of the things I'm going to ask you to do. So I'm going to send you like a list of questions I want from you each week.
Which I have.
One of them will be like your ketone measurements. One of them be your any awareness of balance and movement,
Mhm.
screens, crowded areas, making you
Mhm.
have an off day.
Right.
And then also if you can start to have consciousness yourself of what things may be contributing to your off day. Right now the biggest thing is this balance between dopamine and catecholamines. And if it's pretty clear from history, anything that raises your catecholamine levels is going to offset your dopamine effects from your
Yeah.
levodopa, and then you have a bad day. So that a lot of those things you can immediately reduce. So you can reduce caffeine, or stop drinking coffee. You can try to get into ketosis, right? And not have your blood sugar levels drop.
Right.
Intermittent fasting is not the best thing for you right now because it's kind of increase your catecholamine load as you get into areas past 14 hours. So that's the place to start.
Yeah. Actually, now after this conversation, retrospectively, I can remember that in the good food days, and I'm kind of stable food-wise, I may have much more emotional abuse or not abuse, but like some bad news or some pressure which normally kind of keep me off.
Yeah.
And I can hold it.
Right. So let's talk about some goals and some baselines. So how many days would you say are on day versus off days right now?
Excluding last couple of weeks, which was kind of
Yeah, excluding
I would say maybe half. Okay, so the last pattern was 1 day on, 1 day off, kind of one by one.
1 day on. So
After one good day, I have one. Maybe I don't know why this way. It's supposed to be different, but maybe just what my brain.
Okay, so right now it's like every other day is a bad day
Yeah.
or off day.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and then is there a difference in intensity of your dystonia? Does it get very painful for you or not?
Yeah, some dystonia are really painful. It feels like all your limbs are getting thrown
Okay.
after the body.
So let's make that something else to be aware of. On your bad days, okay, how bad is your dystonia on pain level, pain and tightness?
Those days they could be maybe once in every 2 weeks approximately, and it's could be 8, around 8. It's like the full day in the
8 out of 10.
yeah.
Okay. Because the thing is, if you do clinical interventions and your pain goes from 8 out of 10 to 4 out of 10, then that's still successful.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
But I hope to avoid these days.
Yeah, of course. Well, if you have more good days, then you have to worry about dystonia. Okay. The other key thing we want as a baseline, besides your off and on days and your proneness to tightness, is your ability to sleep through the night.
Yes, that's also.
Right now, it's every night. Or how many days
Now
a week?
every night, like last couple of weeks, every night I was waking up once, twice, most of the day, twice a week, maybe a couple of days once a week.
So 6 to 7 times a week.
Yes.
By the way, would it make sense to? I don't know if unless you already shared the list of what you're taking before the sleep.
No, we don't
No,
want
it
to. We
doesn't
don't want to
matter.
change the variable.
Yeah,
rate.
we keep this.
Oh, you want to change one variable?
We want to see if she can. That's causing her all to fall asleep, but she's not staying.
Yeah.
asleep.
I see what you say.
So often, any other key things that you have? Let me make sure. Let's make a good list, because the thing is, for me to check up with you and go, hey, how you doing?
Right.
It's too general. Like that won't get us anywhere. We need to have a very good, clear baseline of what we're trying to achieve and we're trying to do. Okay. So if I look at your chief complaints,
No, it sounds very kind of logical and
let's see. I notice all kinds of excitement cause anxiety. We can check your anxiety levels.
you know what? I'm calling it anxiety, but it's not the it's the result is like anxiety. It's
Right,
like,
it's the epinephrine. It's the
right, but
catecholamine.
I don't feel explicitly. I don't feel that I'm not an anxious person in general. I'm not depressive person, and I don't feel it. But it's probably somewhere inside of me because the results is kind of like I just get paralyzed, something like.
Right.
But I know that, let's say, coming to see you, it may have this effect.
Yeah, it's like
Even if I feel kind of excited, but the result would be anxiety. Like
we call it physical anxiety versus emotional anxiety. Does that work for you?
yes.
So your physical anxiety is, we can see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Physical anxiety level. And you have a daily, or just on your off days?
Just on my off day, not on all my. Okay, so it's kind of a little bit two different effects. So dystonic days is contradicted to anxiety days because dystonic day it's anxiety. It's sometimes I cannot move, and sometimes I cannot. Sometimes it's actually that I cannot stand and cannot walk, and I all trembling.
Okay.
That's another, and it's kind of loss of tone in a way.
Okay.
So let me say. So maybe it's wrong, but I call both of them anxiety because sometimes anxiety is something's happening.
But it happens. We'll just call it your off day. Will be that like tone issue and that physical anxiety.
And physical anxiety. Yeah.
Okay. Off days. Okay. All right. I think that's pretty good. We can just stick with those.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else I should know?
No, I think it's pretty much it. But I think I will be better now with kind of knowing how to categorize and what is
a lot
how
of times,
to connect things.
Yeah, that's a lot of times a big part of it is just finding the connections and then making choices based on the connections.
Exactly. So basically, you kind of educated me on what's what and.
Yep, and then there's some of the stuff like you're not going to necessarily notice a symptom, but like taking antioxidants, you may not notice it immediately change your symptoms, but it's probably a good idea based on the research over a long time to just preventively do it. Yeah. Okay.